My name is Gray. I used to go by Aphex Individual on Twitter, and I wanted to make a video on my recent doxing that has happened and has caused me to shut down all of my social media accounts, my partner's social media accounts, all of our information online. And I wanted to film this video because everything so far that everyone has seen has all been online, just words on a screen. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to physically talk to everyone who watches this video, just so everyone can really see how physical and how real this is to our lives and what doxing does. For everyone who doesn't know what doxing is, this is when people seek out not only your public information, but your private information as well, and they use it with malicious intent to spread it amongst themselves online. This includes all of your social media, emails, phone numbers, any way to contact you or to use your information to reach out to you personally and to harass you using that information. The reason that I am continuing to speak up about this issue is because that we fear for our safety. This is an incredibly life-altering situation, and after trying to ignore it, we just keep realizing that it's only escalating and escalating. And I want to explain the events that led to this, because this is an extremely serious thing that can happen to anybody. I'm asking for people to listen to our story just so that we can further realize this. So before I explain everything, I want to let all of you watching know first that I will try to be as unbiased as possible. My goal is to have the harassment stop, and the safety of me and those involved, it comes first. Twitter can be a good place for discussions, news, finding friends, all that good stuff. However, it can also be a very toxic breeding ground for hate speech. Anyone who has used the platform will have come to have realized this. This video is going to go over how a simple Twitter argument can go 0 to 100. This video will include my own tweets, and trigger warning, there will be screenshots of graphic things coming from the user Planet of Jaw and their followers, including anti-Semitic remarks, rape threats, among other things that are just as serious. So around October 11th, I saw a prominent online radical feminist who goes by the username Planet of Jaw using a slur to describe her co-worker after already seeing transphobic harassment coming from her and her followers. For context, Planet of Jaw called her co-worker a moid, which is defined as a male who is mentally challenged in some way. I had previously only seen the word used against trans women, and thus believed she was using a slur against a trans woman at her work. I now understand that this is used by radfems in general to describe men in general, but this does not negate that it is primarily used against trans women. Out of concern for a possible fellow trans person, or simply a person she was around and was using slurs against online, I saw that Planet of Jaw had online info about where she attended college, which specifically has guidelines against hate speech. Regardless of whom the person is, I personally believe people should be accountable for the hate speech that they spread online. It does nothing but breed hatred. So I tweeted about Planet of Jaw, saying that I reported her to her university. I didn't say the name of her school or reveal where it was located. So here are my two tweets that set everything into motion. Calling your coworker a slur while you pose at your work is so funny, Planet of Jaw. While I found your full name through your contact info on Instagram, would I do anything with that? Who knows? It would be funny though. Your coworker deserves to be safer than this. After about a day or so after I tweeted this, I started to receive ableist remarks on Twitter in retaliation to the previously mentioned tweet. Then I tweeted this. I wasn't going to hold a grudge, but since all of this has happened, I think I might. It's cool that she wants to be a model. Any modeling agency isn't going to want an explicit transphobe on contract with them. That's not in anymore, and they'll find out you are if it ever happens. Planet of Jaw's full name was removed from the second picture, but is shown in the original tweet. Planet of Jaw's full name was shown in her bio on Instagram, and she has repeatedly talked about her modeling career on Instagram. In hindsight, I should have kept the fact that I reported her to myself, as all my tweets did was antagonize her. I should also mention that these tweets were not directly tweeted at her by me either. However, I don't think someone with such a huge following should be setting such a bad example. I wanted her to know that yes, you can say whatever you want online, but you need to be held accountable, especially if you are setting a bad example for so many people to follow. After Planet of Jaw was made aware of the report, she began her online harassment campaign against me. Planet of Jaw had claimed that I doxed her from simply saying that she had private info online without me revealing that info except for her name, which according to Planet of Jaw herself isn't even her real name, and that I shared her modeling page. Not only did Planet of Jaw say that she didn't care that the wrong name was posted, but she proceeded to imply that the modeling page that was posted wasn't even relevant either. Still, nonetheless, she claimed doxing, and I began being dogpiled with ableist remarks and threats since I am disabled and had a post with my Cash App and Venmo information. As this continued, Jaw eventually encouraged her followers to dig up all of my info that could be found online so that she could share it among everyone. This included all of my social media accounts, my emails, my phone number, and then encouraged her followers to figure out where I live based on my photos. Send me any info, please. Me too. Who got the screenshot of that idiot's Etsy page? I have screenshots of her LinkedIn. Can I see? First person that helps me find out that Bozo's real name so I can report it to the cops gets an 8th and a virtual hug. Who name do you need? And then my username, Aphex Individual. Unfortunately, Planet of Jaw got exactly what she wanted. She would go on to make her Twitter private, have her followers go searching for my information. For those of you who don't know, when you go private on Twitter, only people that you allow to see your tweets are able to see it. That means if there is a tweet that goes against Twitter's terms of service, you aren't able to report it if the person's account is private because you aren't able to see it at all. And here we have people finding my social media accounts. I do want to also mention quickly before I start getting into these that I am non-binary. My pronouns do not include she, her, but this doesn't stop them from constantly misgendering me. So here we go. Here's the first one. I have screenshots of her LinkedIn, and then here we see my LinkedIn. This was before I could private it or remove any of my personal information. I blocked out all my relevant information, but that is my actual Instagram page. Pretty sure she lives in redacted, used to live in redacted. She's dating a Tim, which means trans-identified male. At this point, they found most of my private social media accounts and found my full government name. Not only is Planet of Jaw flaunting around that they have my email, but she decides to post a screenshot of my email itself, implying that she was going to also start harassing me via email. There's unfortunately too many of these emails to show all of them in one video, but you're gonna get the point. This is when the barrage of emails started coming in. I don't feel comfortable saying a lot of these out loud, but here's a few examples on the screen. So Jaw herself has also used my location as a threat while I've never done so. This is her tweeting, LMFAO, like I have her current address and her previous addresses. They're testing my gangster. They're testing my gangster and I don't like that. So then things started to go from bad to worse. People were starting to take my pictures and pretending to be me on Twitter. One had the audacity to even DM me themselves. I had to censor the picture for obvious reasons. Oddly enough, it didn't just stop there. More of Planet of Jaw's followers proceeded to try to impersonate me on Twitter. And here is a tweet of Planet of Jaw encouraging their followers to report the impersonator, implying that it's actually me trying to slander my name. As the hours went by, things somehow began to escalate even further than that. Planet of Jaw and her followers somehow got a hold of my personal phone number and began harassing me by calling me in the middle of the night, and here's an example of one of the many phone calls we ended up getting.
ugly fucking piece of shit. Go kill yourself if you keep talking about radical feminists on Twitter.
I do want to take a moment to point out, I have never asked my followers to go out and find Planet of Jaw's information. Regardless of that, the information I did find on Planet of Jaw to make my reports were all once again not shared with anyone. I also feel that it's personally a little unfair for Planet of Jaw to accuse me of doxing her, when not only does she have the city that she lives in on her Twitter bio next to her birthday, but her hypocrisy is almost ironic when she has posted tweet after tweet after tweet asking her followers to find my information and post it publicly with malicious intent. I personally thought that it couldn't possibly escalate further than that. I didn't decide to fight fire with fire. I didn't want to. I just wanted it to be over. I didn't go on a big witch hunt and try to find her info or ask my followers for help. I tried to ignore it, but that didn't seem to help. So her followers decided to go after my partner, someone who, one, has nothing to do with the entire situation, and two, doesn't even have a Twitter account. They found pictures of my partner and tried to post them around. I've tried to censor the images as best as I can, along with info that might be sensitive, but unfortunately, Planet of Jaw and their followers already have all of the info that they were trying to look for. For some reason, Planet of Jaw and her followers really wanted to drag someone into this who had no relation to the entire situation, and thought the best thing to do was to be completely transphobic. The transphobia isn't new for Planet of Jaw either. She has a history of being transphobic on Twitter. Twitter Troon says jump, trans-inclusive radfem say how high. No, your necrotic fuckhole isn't an actual vagina. Surgeons can't create organs, cope and seethe. After all of this, Planet of Jaw decided to have her followers mass report me. I had tried to make my account unprivate to show everyone that I wasn't afraid and to try to raise awareness about Planet of Jaw and her followers and what they were doing to me. I'm not sure of the facts behind how mass reporting works, but my Twitter account had received enough reports for it to be suspended indefinitely. I was also slandered with claims of me being racist after a very brief response to a person who randomly brought up black femicide in a conversation with me. A quick recap on that situation, as a lot of Planet of Jaw's followers use this as fodder and justification to dox me. The user said black femicide would be a great progressive noise band name, and I said I would listen to that. That's it. And no, really, that's the whole thing. Here's the tweet. For context, progressive noise and transgressive music historically has minority-fronted bands that use controversial names to make statements like this band. Would listening to a band like this be considered racist? Obviously not. This particular band was big on identity politics. Unfortunately, the lead singer and frontman of the band has passed away quite recently. However, he was quoted saying, "Coming up playing this music, people looked at me funny. They'd say, that's white boy music. But music doesn't have a color, and it's not about being an all-black punk band either. The whole idea is for young African American kids to feel comfortable doing whatever it is they want musically. The band is about destroying these old ideas." Regardless of this, Planet of Jaw's followers immediately used this as fodder for claiming I made fun of black women being killed, and refused to acknowledge what I meant while elaborating. I elaborated my previous point to these followers since I knew what progressive noise music entailed as a genre of making political statements. I expressed support for black women who would make music in that genre to make a statement about femicide, and should have been more clear from the start, I will admit. Nonetheless, I am still receiving threats over making fun of the death of black women when this did not happen. This situation has scared me and my partner into hiding. We have been in contact with our local police department. We have tried to ignore this situation and just drop the whole thing. However, after a couple of days now, I am still receiving threats in my email and through my phone number. These are death threats, rape threats, telling me all Jews should die since I'm Jewish, calling me racist, yet telling me they want black men to brutalize me, that I should kill myself, directing transphobic slurs towards me and my partner, and that my life is going to be destroyed. These emails I have received have included past addresses and states of where I have lived. I hope that with this video, it can help raise awareness of how dangerous the internet can really be and how Twitter arguments can escalate faster than you anticipate. I only ask for the harassment to stop and for Planet Ajah to stop trying to find out where I live. I had my Twitter account for years and I don't think I'll ever be getting that back. I'm not sure when I can even go back on social media. I'm currently trying to round up resources to help out anyone who has ever been doxxed or is afraid of getting doxxed, so no one has to go through what I go through. I want something positive to come out of this, so I will keep my viewers updated on how that compilation of resources is going. Just to conclude with this video, I do want to reiterate, while I will admit that I should not have been as antagonistic, what Ja did in response to everything was uncalled for and is uncalled for in any situation. Even though I have been the target of so much harassment, I have still not stooped to the level of releasing private information to the public. Thank you so much for watching and getting through this video. I really appreciate anyone who takes the time to listen to this story. Thank you.